Hello and welcome to another episode of the TES Secondary Maths Resource of the Week with me, Craig Barton. Now, a common gripe I often hear from teachers about the resources on TES, and indeed, I'll be honest with you, it's one I've got myself, is there's not a great deal of quality A-level content on there. And that's no surprise really, because of course A-level is taken by fewer students, it's taught by fewer teachers. But it seems such a shame, right? We have a wealth of some of the best resources in the world that I've ever seen for that 11 to 16 age bracket. But when you get to 16, the quality resources, well, the kind of outlook's a little bit more barren. Let's put it that way. That's not to say there's not gold dust out there, but sometimes it's just a little bit harder to find. So anytime I come across something that's particularly good for A-level on TES, I like to flag it up. And look at this resource here. Finding turning points using calculus. Differentiation. Now that is a classic technique, strategy, concept that kids need to be familiar with, whether they're doing the legacy A-level spec or whether they're in year 12 in late 2017 and they're starting the brand new A-level specification. It's not just a case of finding turning points, but then can they determine their nature and their maximums and minimums? So I'll be honest with you, all this is a PowerPoint. It's a PowerPoint lesson, but I say all this is. It is a really high quality PowerPoint lesson. So let's take a look at it. You've got your lesson objectives there. And then I just love the way it's just so well presented, so well labelled. I'm a little bit obsessed with cognitive load theory and a thing called the split attention effect that says that if students have to split their attention between a diagram and words, then it's really cognitively demanding in an unhelpful way. But this combines things really nicely. Just the clarity of the labels and the arrows. It's one of those things that shouldn't be taken for granted. That can have a significant impact on how easy it is for kids to think about something and hence learn it. So I love that. Then you've got some really nice worked examples, again, always relating it to the graph. So finding maximum points and so on. And again, I should show you as well, it's beautifully animated this. So if I just go full screen for a second, you'll see things just kind of come in at the right time and then we get the words and so on. So it's just lovely. And I just thought it was just a really, really well presented lesson activity for a topic that you don't tend to see too much of. But then there was some other really nice features I liked. This bit, kind of just picking up on common misconceptions and common way kids go wrong. So look, you've got a minimum point. And if you just say to kids, right, that's the minimum point of the graph, then it's quite logical for students to think, well, that's as low as the graph goes. But of course, that's not true at all. Look at that. All these points here are below the minimum point on the graph, but that's confusing to students, right? So if we just kind of gloss over that and just term things minimum points, there's a chance kids will get muddled up with that, and that could wreak havoc later on. So it's just nice that is just highlighted for students. And there's another thing that I just thought was wonderful to highlight, and it's this. I tend to find that once kids get comfortable finding maximums and minimums, and you say to them, right, let's try and sketch the graph now. Let's test points either side, figure out what's going on. They're like, well, I don't need to, so it's obvious. If it's a maximum on the left and it's a minimum on the right, it's got to be a positive cubic shaped like that. But I love this. Look at that. That shows them a graph where that's true as well. But look, it's a completely different shaped graph, a rational function graph. So I just thought that is wonderful. So not just the presentation, not just the way that it looks, not just the comprehensive nature of the way that the worked examples are set out, not just the fact that it kind of caters nicely to reducing the cognitive load of kids with the presentation of it, but also the fact that it picks up on key misconceptions, key areas that students need to be aware of. I just think this is one of the best lessons I've ever seen. It's absolutely wonderful. But a word of warning, and it's always the same word of warning I give to anyone, and more myself than anything else, whenever I see a great PowerPoint like this. Never, ever, ever use it exactly as it's laid out like this. This particular resource has been designed by a teacher for their teaching style, for their particular students, for the time of day they're teaching them and so on. The chances are that this, if you just run it exactly as it is here, it will not be as successful for you and your students. But that's fine because it's in PowerPoint and therefore it can be completely edited, slides can be taken out, things can be added and so on. For example, some of the slides are a little bit too wordy for my liking. I like to have things broken down a little bit more. So maybe I'd take this slide and I'd break it up into 2 or 3 slides. It takes a little bit of extra work, but I'll tell you what, it's less work than starting from scratch. And also, it's going to lead to a more personalised experience for your students than just kind of churning out someone else's work. So whenever I discover a resource like this, I just think to myself, that is a wonderful baseline to start my planning. I can build on this, but I still need to just tweak it to make it suitable for my way of teaching and the learning needs of my kids. So what a wonderful, wonderful resource. If all lessons were like this, flipping out, we would be absolutely laughing. So if you like it, download it, share your thoughts, give it a little review, and I shall return with a fresh resource of the week next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.